We're surrounded by all these systems, our governments, the AI on our phones, and it feels like they're getting more and more broken. So we add more rules, more oversight, but somehow things just get more complicated, right? Well, what if the problem isn't the rules themselves, but when we're writing them? Today, we're going to dig into a paper that makes a pretty bold claim that we've been getting governance completely wrong from the very start.
I mean, have you ever felt this? You've been there, right? You're in an organization, something goes a little sideways, and bam, a new rule gets added to the handbook. The binder gets thicker, the meetings get longer, but things don't really seem to improve. In fact, sometimes it feels like trust just goes right out the window. It's super frustrating, and honestly, it's an incredibly common story. Well, it turns out this feeling actually has a name: the governance paradox. We are absolutely drowning in governance. We've got compliance checks, risk frameworks, oversight committees, you name it. But our ability to actually govern our systems, to steer them where they need to go, that seems to be getting weaker and weaker. Our institutions feel clogged and fragile all at the same time. So what's the deal? The paper's big idea is actually pretty simple, but it's also really profound. It says this isn't about people not trying hard enough or writing bad rules. It's a failure of timing. We're trying to bolt on governance after everything is already in motion. We're trying to fix problems that were actually baked into the system's DNA from day one. It's a timing problem, plain and simple. Okay, to really wrap our heads around this timing issue, we've got to get specific with our language. The source argues that we're constantly mixing up three totally different ideas: governance, control, and enforcement. We use them interchangeably, but they're not the same. And treating them like they are, well, that's the root of the whole problem.
And here is the absolute key difference, and it all comes down to time. Think of it this way. Governance is what happens before the action. It's like designing the entire playing field. Control is ongoing. That's making sure the players stay inbounds during the game. And enforcement? That's the ref blowing the whistle after a foul has already happened.
So this table just lays out the proper sequence perfectly. When you start with governance, you're setting a really clear purpose and defining the space. Control is then just about keeping things on track. And enforcement, that becomes your last resort. When you respect this order, the whole system just works. It has integrity, it makes sense. But let's be honest, that's not what we usually do, is it? We often do the exact opposite. We just delegate authority, let things run, and only when things start going off the rails do we pile on more control and more enforcement. The paper calls this post hoc governance. We're basically trying to fix a cracked foundation by repainting the walls. And this graph, man, it shows you exactly what happens. That top line? That's a system built with strong governance from the start. See how its alignment with its purpose stays high? But that bottom line? That's our typical approach. Even as you pile on more and more rules, that fundamental purpose just decays over time. You're just patching a leaky ship instead of building a solid one in the first place. So if that's the problem, what's the solution? The paper gives us this fantastic concept, pre-governing. It's all about being intentional right up front. It's the work you do to define the why, the non-negotiables, and the clear boundaries before you ever hand over the keys or let an autonomous system out into the world.
I love this line. This is really the mantra of the whole idea, and it's just so powerful. Governance before action, not after failure. It completely reframes how we should be thinking. The goal isn't to get better at cleaning up messes, it's to design systems where fewer messes happen in the first place.
And hey, let's be super clear here. This isn't about trying to predict the future and write a rule for every single possibility. That's impossible. And it's definitely not about micromanagement. In fact, it's the exact opposite. By setting really clear boundaries, you actually create a safe space where people and systems can be autonomous and make smart choices.
Okay, so the idea of governing before you act, it sounds great in theory, but how do you actually, do it? Well, the cool thing is, this paper doesn't just point out the problem, it gives us a blueprint, a practical architecture for putting pre-governing to work. And this is it. This is the whole shebang, a 5-layer architecture that gives you a clear roadmap from a big, abstract purpose all the way down to concrete action. It's a blueprint for building what the paper calls a governable space, a system that's designed for success from the get-go.
So let's just walk through this real quick. First up, the intent layer. This is your why. It's the system's North Star. Second, the invariant layer. Think of these as your non-negotiables, the hard lines, like safety or ethics, that you can never, ever cross. Third, the decision envelope. Okay, so this is the sandbox. What's the legitimate space where your team or your AI can use its own judgment? Fourth, the delegation boundary. This is all about who gets to do what and where their authority stops. And finally, fallback conditions. This is your in case of emergency break glass plan. What happens when a line is crossed? Notice enforcement is still here, but it's planned for, not just a panicked reaction.
So you might be wondering, okay, this is a neat idea, but why is this shift so important right now? Well, just look around you. Our world is defined by complexity, autonomy, and crazy speed. I mean, think about AI, decentralized finance, huge global companies. The old way of governing just can't keep up.
And this right here, this is the core reason why this new approach works. It's a scaling problem. You can't just keep adding more rules. That just makes things more complicated. You can't control every little action. That's impossible. But you know what does scale? Meaning. When everyone in the system, whether it's a person or an algorithm, truly understands the intent and the boundaries, that scales beautifully. It lets them act in an aligned way without needing a rule for every single thing they do.
This comparison chart just makes the difference so stark. The old way is all about reacting. See a problem, add a rule. It responds to autonomy by trying to centralize control. It's always cleaning up damage after it's done. But pre-governing, it's proactive. It responds to complexity by clarifying intent, and to autonomy by defining safe boundaries. It's about embedding success by design.
And this quote just nails it, doesn't it? The challenge we're facing today isn't about how to govern with more force. It's about how to govern earlier. The solution isn't reaction and repair, it's design and architecture. So I'll leave you with this question to chew on. Think about your own world, whether you're starting a new project, leading a team, or even just building a piece of software. Where could you hit pause and deliberately design the conditions for success before the action ever begins? It sounds like such a simple shift in timing, but it's a really powerful idea that could literally change how we build everything.